Of course, I'm oversimplifying, but our wonderful group of speakers and panelists will go into more details as they share their own traditions and customs. And with that, I'd like to wish everyone a Happy New Year and in Mandarin, 新年快乐. And now, going to turn it over to my friend and UCLA's Zoom goddess, Caroline Kong, to introduce herself and go over some Zoom meeting logistics.
I am so excited to be here to celebrate my experience as a Chinese American in Lunar New Year's. As many of you know, that many East Asians celebrate Lunar New Year's in January or February-ish, but there are also other East Asians who celebrate New Year's later on in the year, around April. And I am so excited to be part of this association so we can share these experiences with you. And I hope to hear more about it maybe later today or later on in our future meetings. But to get started, this celebration is being recorded and will be made public for viewing for those who are unable to make it today. If you'd like to rename yourself or stop your video, please do so now. And please keep your microphone muted during the program. If you have any questions, we invite you to raise your virtual hand to ask a question. But if you're unable to raise your hand, you can put the question into the chat box. We have people moderating and we'll be able to help float up questions to us. And the presentation is best viewed in speaker view. So I'm gonna jump to the slide in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom video. When you click on view, drop it down to speaker so that you can see all of our presenters as are highlighted on your computer. And if you're having any technical issues in Zoom, please directly message Lucy Sang in the chat box. And as I mentioned again, the session is being recorded. Please rename yourself if you need to. I am just checking really quickly because it is, I would like to introduce our first group that's going to be presenting for us today. It's a little early, so I'm hoping they're in the room. Lucy, are they in? If you can give me a thumbs up.
Okay, we're good.
This is our first time running this event, so apologies for technical difficulties, but at least we're all learning from each other how to use Zoom effectively. But I'd like to introduce the ACA Lion Dance team. They were founded in 2001. The Lion Dance team is affiliated with the Association of Chinese Americans, ACA, which is a student organization here at UCLA. They have performed annually in the UCLA's Chinese Culture Night and the Southern California's Chinese Heritage Festival, as well as at various venues and events ranging from Lunar New Year celebrations, weddings, grand openings, blessings, parades, cultural celebrations, and birthday parties. For more information about the team, they can be found at https://www.uclaliondance.com. And with that, I am honored to introduce Marie Chu, Kim Fan, and Ising Sang to start our first presentation. Let me stop share and you can go ahead and take over.
Oh, hi, sorry about the delay. I couldn't unmute myself for a second. So yeah, a big thank you, first of all, to the Asian Pacific Islander Faculty Staff Association for inviting us to speak on behalf of ACA Lion Dance, and yeah, for hosting this celebration in general. We're really excited to talk to you guys today. And yeah, even if we can't perform, you know, it's a big pleasure for us to come and speak about lion dance in general, you know, the cultural significance of it, where it came from, the different parts that make up a performance. So today, the three of us, myself, Ishin, and Kim and Marie will be talking to you today about, you know, what I just mentioned. So we'll be going over, you know, what is lion dance, some really quickly going over what different types you may or may not have seen before, and then where did it come from, and again, what makes up a cohesive performance. And so one last thing, I briefly introduced us already, but we are the current coordinators of ACA Lion Dance. So a little bit about us, as Caroline graciously mentioned earlier. ACA Lion Dance was founded in 2001. We are a constituent group of UCLA's Association of Chinese Americans. So just like UCLA Wushu or ACA Hip Hop, if you've heard of them. And we ourselves are a pretty tight-knit team of about 20 each year. And around this time, so winter quarter, spring quarter, these are our peak performance seasons. We'd usually be performing at different Lunar New Year celebrations in the greater Los Angeles area. So for example, banquets, elementary schools, temples, just a lot of different kinds of venues. And our biggest performances are UCLA's annual Chinese American Culture Night and SoCal's Chinese Heritage Festival, which is held by the different Chinese American student groups across the UC campuses. And so please keep an eye out for us the next time we're all back on campus during this time. So what is lion dance? Well, it's a traditional performance that blesses places and people with prosperity and good luck, especially for the new year. It's also really common to see lion dancing at grand openings, for example, of restaurants or small businesses to bring in that good fortune, and also during temple performances, again, to bring in the new year, usher in another year of prosperity and fortune. And it is a martial arts-based performing art, but there are variations in that dancing style depending on team. So, you know, some tropes will focus a lot more on the martial arts aspect than others. And in our case, we focus a little more on making our movements graceful and feline-like than the disciplined, you know, sharp movements of traditional martial arts. And as I'm sure that all of you know, it takes two people in a lion to really make them come to life. You know, lion dancing is built on a lot of teamwork, a lot of trust, and a lot of practice. So for each lion, we have the head, which is, you know, the eyes and the mouth of the lion. Whoever's quote unquote heading for the lion, you know, makes the decisions on where to go, what moves to do. And the tail is mostly the stability and the support. They follow along with the head, but they're still very important for giving the lion a personality. And so with that, you know, each stunt, like rolls or stacks, requires a lot of concentration and coordination between the head and the tail.
So there are actually many different types and styles of lions, each one with its own special characteristics, and we've included some of them in this slide, but even these are not representative of all the variations found in each category and around the globe. The lions you have most likely seen before at Lunar New Year celebration is probably the Southern Chinese lion, which is a type of lion that our team uses, and we will be focusing on this today. So there are a couple of stories associated with the origins of lion dance, and we will be covering two of the most popular ones. The first is the story of Nian. According to Chinese legend, every year a ferocious beast by the name of Nian would descend upon a nearby village and devour the food, livestock, and people. He especially liked to eat children. One year the townsmen devised a plan, and they realized Nian was afraid of the color red, loud noises, so they gathered gongs, cymbals, and drums, and firecrackers, and they also made their own fearful model of Nian using bamboo, paper, and cloth to drive away the monster. Lion dance evolved from this model the villagers made and is now used during New Year's to bring people peace and luck. So the second story that is often associated with lion dance is Emperor Shunzong's dream. During the Tang Dynasty, the emperor dreamt of a pilgrimage of an auspicious creature covered in colorful hair during his inspection tour south of the Yangtze River. When the emperor returned to Beijing, he ordered his men to recreate the image of the auspicious being that appeared in his dreams. From then on, Shunzong ordered the partaking of lions in festivals and ceremonies to bring good luck and prosperity.
So there are three parts to a performance. There are the lions, the ones that you see the most. They bless the venue and the audience while spreading good fortune. They are the ones to play with the audience, and they're the ones that eat the red envelopes and also throw the cabbage and the candy at you. The next is the Buddha. He's the jolly lion tamer that guides the lions and keeps an all-seeing eye, making sure everything is running smoothly, grabbing all the necessary props for the lions, because you can't really see in a lion, so the Buddha becomes your eye. And he carries a fan with him, so it's very easy to distinguish. But he must be careful with the fan, because if the fan touches the lion, it burns them. So we don't like that happening. We have the drums and the cymbals. They are very important, even though they are not part of the active part of the performance, but they help set the scene. They keep the lines coordinated. and they are essentially the heartbeat of the lions and the performance itself. So here is our pride in an active look, a quick look at our active lions. Today, Apollo and Mako will be joining us. If you can see that on the side of your screen. Yeah. Apollo is our oldest and heaviest lion in our pride, and that is being held by Marie. And Mako is the blue lion held by Yixing. So as the oldest lion, Apollo is in charge of awakening all the new lions in their pride with an eye dotting ceremony. In this ceremony, the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, forehead, and body are dotted with some red paint. This action awakens the spirit of the dancing lions and ensures that it can see, smell, eat, hear, and move. And after the lion is awakened, there's a little red ribbon tied around its horn that serves as a reminder to the lion to spread good fortune and do only good deeds. And as you can see, some of our lions look a little bit different from each other. Apollo and Shadow are more traditional style lions. They're very big, very heavy, and they look more decorated with some more like little baubles on the side of its face. Qiling and Leigong in the pictures above are the modern Futsan lions, and Orion, Mako, Polaris, and Midas in the pictures above are modern Hoaxan lions. And there are some ways you can distinguish between a modern Hoaxan lion and a modern Futsan lion. So modern Hoaxan lions, they have a flat mouth and a curved horn. As you look at Mako, it has a flat mouth and a little like curve, a little curl at the end of his horn. Very cute. And we have a modern Futsan lion, as in Qiling and Leigong, the yellow ones up above. They have a curved mouth and they have a pointed and a sharp horn. Apollo has a sharp horn. So if you want to look at Marie showing off that for Apollo. All right, and we have some demos for you. If you can see the spotlight, just wanted to talk more about the parts of a lion. So they have a mirror, and it helps guard the spirits away, keep the spirits away. We have the horn, and it is used for fighting demons. And the red ribbon around the horn, that is when the lion has been awakened, and to show that the lion has been blessed and awakened to pay respect to the gods. We have the legs and the feet. Sadly, we don't have the full costumes for you today, but they are typically they match the lion. They're very fluffy and sequined, and they will match the body of the lion, but the legs are nimble and strong. The feet are very quick and quiet. Next, we have the beard, and that helps sweep away all of the bad luck. We will literally sweep the beard across the ground to get rid of all the bad luck. We have the mouth, and that is the part that eats and spreads the wealth. This is the part where you feed the red envelopes to you. Just stick your hand in there, and then we'll take it from you. And we have the ear and the eyelids, and they flap and flutter when emoting. So yeah, there's a little string on the inside. We'll show you later what it looks like on the inside. You can see the strings themselves, where you have to pull down really hard to make it go. All right, we have some demonstrations of some of the things that we do for you. The first thing that we usually do is we clean, and that is just shaking the lines from side to side. If you want to look at Marie cleaning right now, side to side. And this is just cleaning the entryway. This is the first step in blessing the venue. And then you jump over the threshold 3 times. So that is typically how we start off the performances. And then we have eating, which is like the actual blessings. This is where the blessings come from. Typically, our lions eat candy, cabbage, and and scrolls. Sorry, I forgot. So it is very good luck to get hit by the candy or the cabbage. Very, very lucky to get hit. If you try to go to a temple and try to get hit by some cabbage, because that's very good luck. Candy, typically we save for the kids and other performances because cabbage requires a lot of cleanup. So candy is typically more yummy and a little bit easier to clean up, and kids like candy more than they like cabbage. So that is why we save it for them. And then,
Can
sorry,
I ask, there are a couple of questions coming in from the chat. Do you prefer we let you finish the presentation, or should I let you know the questions as it's relevant?
Oh, we have time for questions at the end. So
Okay.
we will definitely touch down that at the end.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your questions. That's so nice. And then we have our last thing, we have our Malay bows. And the Malay bows are the Lions' formal way of saying thank you and paying respect to the audience and also to the gods themselves. And typically temple performances they differ a little bit because we have to double everything that we do. So we do double the bows, double everything, because there are two places that you bow to in the temple. You bow to the audience first, and then you bow, and then you turn around, and then you bow to the altar and all the gods to offer and just pay your respects there. And yeah, I forgot to mention, but like the scrolls, like you put them in your mouth and then they drop down, and that's the part you see. It's typically very red. It will say Happy New Year on it. But yeah, and yeah, let's see if we can show you the inside of a lion. I think Marie was showing it a little bit earlier.
Oh, sorry, I'm already unmuted. So yeah, this is the inside of a lion. As you can see, it's mainly made out of some bamboo and there's paper mache in it. Apollo is really old. He's like 19 years old now. So the inside might not look very pretty, but this is basically how you would control the lion. So there's a string inside of here. If you pull on it, it will open and close the eyes. And if you only want to move the ears, you can also pull on just the individual strings in the back, and that would flap the ears. But if you pull on this, the eyes, eyelids, and ears all move in conjunction. And yeah, this is what we kind of see inside the lion. So as you can see, our visibility is super limited. We can only see through the mouth for the most part. So we have to gauge our surroundings based off of just either the Buddha who's guiding us or through this small opening in the mouth.
And the last thing we wanted to show you is what a tail looks like. Because unfortunately, it takes two people to lion, and let's just see what the tail looks like and what you would see. Typically, I'm the tail, and I would shake my butt at you so enthusiastically. But right now, we can just see the little fluffy part of Mako. Yeah, it's like a big blanket. Oh yeah, yeah, a cute little thing. There's a little stick. You can like use it to wag it around and stuff. But yeah, you can pet the butt and everything. And that concludes. Yes, I do. I will twerk on you. Yes. All right. And sorry, let me share my screen real quick one more time. And then we will also take the questions right now.
Thanks, Kim. Caroline, are you?
Yes, I unmuted myself just right on time. And thank you so much for this presentation, Kim, Yixing, and Marie. We did see a couple of questions, and I saw one that I wanted to ask as well as how much do one of these lions cost?
Ooh, these lions can cost upwards of $800 for one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And this is including the head, the body part, as well as like the outfit.
The whole shebang. Yes. Yes.
My goodness. And then another one I saw was also the significance of the cabbage. So you mentioned getting hit by the cabbage is really cool, but what is the symbol of the cabbage?
I think it was someone in the chat answered, but it was because like it's the color green is like the color of money, and New Year's is all about luck and prosperity. So if you get hit by like something green flying at you, it's like money will come flying your way, things like that.
Right on. That's what Anita also mentioned too. That's so cool.
Yeah, just to add on to that, we usually use cabbage because it sounds very similar to like the Mandarin words for fortune. So that's just a little extra tidbit.
And then definitely got a shout out for holding the heavy piece. It was really impressive, Marie, to show the inside working of it too. And actually hearing like the little, when you're pulling the string, we hear you pulling on it too.
Yes, lions make lots of loud noises.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. We gotta scare away the bad luck and the bad spirits.
Right. Was there anything that you wanted to share with us really quickly? Hopefully going to your website, we'll be able to see some of your previous performances.
Oh, yes, we have a YouTube for that. That's better. It should still be ACA Line Dance. We have a good amount of CACN, Chinese American Culture Night performances. There's a good amount of those there, and we have some temple performances too. So yeah, definitely recommend checking that out to see us in action.
Yeah, and I have, two more questions, I believe. Do line dances happen at certain times in celebration? Typically, we do weddings, openings of grand openings, and also typically a lot during Lunar New Year's, and we just go around the greater Los Angeles area, seeing all the kiddos and all the temples and stuff like that. And how heavy is the headpiece? They are typically maybe 5 pounds.
Some of them are more than that. So Apollo is actually 11 pounds. These are line. And most of them are, I think maybe in the range of 7, 8, or 9.
Yeah, 7, 8, yeah. 5-pound lions, like they have little kid lions. They like really the lions made for kids, and like those are typically 5. Yeah, but ours is like 8 or 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pounds typically. So you will get your arm workout in for sure.
And we do have 1 more minute, but I want to see if I can sneak in Monica's last question, which was, how are different parts of the body assigned? For example, does everyone know how to do all the body parts, or do some more experienced people have to do the head or the tail?
So the way our team is structured is all of the first year members, we kind of teach them everything at once, so they at least have some exposure, to being the head and then being the tail, and they get a lot of practice in both. Because at least in our team, we don't really have set pairs where, this person will always be heading for another person. It's pretty versatile. Like, we just want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to try a lot of different things. But, the longer people stay on the team, usually they start to quote unquote specialize in either the head or the tail. So for example, I'm more commonly found in the head. Kim mentioned they're more commonly found in the tail. And it's something that people like to think, I guess, that the head is what everyone wants to be, but that's not always the case. They're both really important. And, the longer you've been on the team, the longer you've been doing lion dance, the more you recognize that. And then you discover what is more important to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming to present with us. We greatly appreciate it. And it's a perfect way to open up a celebration for Lunar New Year's, but also for any kind of big events too. So with that, let me pull up my screen. Just going to throw it up really quickly so you see the website. As the team mentioned, they also have their videos posted on YouTube. So let's move on to our next group. And I will let Mike introduce our first panel speaker while I look for them in the videos.
That was awesome. Thanks, guys. Our next topic is a panel from our faculty and graduate students. And I'd like to welcome Professor Dr. Min Zhou. She's a professor of sociology and Asian American studies. She's the Walter and Shirley Wayne Endowed Chair in U.S.-China Relations and Communications and of Asia Pacific Center at UCLA. Her main research areas are in migration and development, race and ethnicity, Chinese diaspora, and the sociology of Asia and Asian America. She has published 19 books and more than 200 journal articles of book chapters. She was the recipient of the 2017 Distinguished Career Award of the American Sociological Association, section on international migration, and the 2020 Contribution to the Field Award of the ASA section on Asia and Asian America. Welcome, Dr. Minzo.
Thank you, Mike, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
May I share my screen?
Yes, and then if you don't mind, while you're preparing to share, I'd also like to introduce our second panel. So as you prep up, I'm going to read Suyoung's bio really quickly. I just found her video and pinned her as well. So Suyoung Tai is a PhD student in cultural and comparative studies with Japan focus in the Department of Asian Languages and Culture. She received a BA in literature from the University of Social Sciences and Humanities, HCMC in Vietnam, and an MA in Asian Studies from Leiden University in the Netherlands. Excuse me. Her research focuses on comparing feminine sexuality in modern Vietnamese and Japanese women's literature, exploring the representations of women's sexuality as a literary language to define individual, cultural, and national identities. Her general interest also includes post- and decolonialism, psychoanalysis, gender, and sexuality. And with that, Professor Zhou, I would like to allow you to do your presentation if you have that prepared.
So this year's Chinese New Year falls on February 12th, tomorrow, and it's the year of the ox following the Chinese zodiac. The Chinese zodiac is a classical a classification scheme based on the lunar calendar in a 12-year cycle. Each year is assigned an animal. These zodiac animals are said to be closely related to ancient Chinese people's daily lives, affected by 5 basic elements: earth, fire, metal, wood, and water. You can see they are associated with different animals, the 5 elements. Earth people, that is ox, sheep, dragon, and dog, are motivated to secure foundations. Fire people, snake and horse are inspired by excitement. Metal people, monkey and rooster, I'm a monkey, are driven to create order. Wood people, tiger and rabbit, have the desire to explore. Water people, that is pig and rat, are compelled to form emotional bonds. That's my son. My son is a pig. However, depending on the year, the combination of zodiac animals and the 5 basic elements would be different, implying different fate and luck for the year. Nevertheless, all the zodiac animals have lucky and good meaning, so no worries. A visionary Taoist master with whom I make friends in Singapore offered this advice to me yesterday. He said, "The year of the ox is full of challenges and difficulties for you. You must keep a low profile and work at your own pace. Take good rest and sleep, and good sleep. Everything will turn out to be fine in the end." He said more or less the same last year and the year before, but he forgot. So the Chinese New Year is one of the 4 major traditional holidays in China. Chinese New Year in the spring, the Dragon Boat Festival in summer, the Mid-Autumn Festival or the Moon Festival in fall, and the Winter Solstice Festival. China is not the only country that celebrates the Lunar New Year, and some of these are the traditional holidays. In fact, there are many countries in Asia celebrating the Lunar New Year, such as Taiwan, Vietnam, Korea, Singapore, Cambodia, Indonesia, and Brunei. Now, I'm not an expert on traditional Chinese holidays and don't know much about where and when these traditional customs and rituals start, except that these traditional holidays have been celebrated for more than 2,000 years. But I do have personal experience with it and have witnessed its transformations in and out of China. You can ask me questions later on. There are many New Year customs and rituals. These customs and rituals differ vastly by region in China. Here, I only mention a selected few. First is the worshipping of kitchen and earth gods. According to Chinese mythology, the earth and humankind are ruled by the Jade Emperor in heaven. The kitchen and earth gods are sent by the Jade Emperor to keep order on earth and offer protection for families. These gods are going to heaven to make their annual reports to the emperor, usually a week before the Chinese New Year. That's the 23rd in December on the lunar calendar. Families would make offerings to the gods and bribe them as they are leaving for heaven, in the hope that the gods would give good reports and receive more blessings for the family from the Jade Emperor for the coming year. Now, the photos on the left were sent to me last weekend by my sister-in-law in China. My first cousin and his wife, who live in China, in the cities, would go to our ancestral home each year in the village to complete the annual worshipping of the kitchen gods. Another ritual is house cleaning, happening the day after the kitchen gods left. That is on the 25th. The annual house cleaning symbolizes the sweeping away all bad luck and bad elements, as well as evil spirits from home. Then there are house decorations with red lanterns and spring couplets. Shopping is very much like our Christmas, Thanksgiving, and other holiday shopping, big time. The tradition of pasting spring couplets to front doors of homes is the most common custom when celebrating the Chinese New Year. This custom is widely kept both in modern cities and in the countryside in China today. Red couplets are poems or phrases of good wishes, such as 五福临门, the arrival of 5 blessings or 5-fold happiness, including health, wealth, longevity, harmony, and prosperity. 年年有余, may you always have more than you need. Or 鱼跃龙门, a fish leaping over the dragon gate. This implying successful passing a competitive examination or getting a promotion. The photo on the right is from my student in China who sent me his decoration. He sent me yesterday. I have been receiving a lot of those photos. So the Chinese New Year is a family holiday during which time family members, close kins and friends would get together. About 2 weeks before the Chinese New Year, a high travel season starts with extremely high traffic volume. The Chinese call it 春运, Spring Festival travel. 2 phenomena are interesting to note here. One is migrant workers returning home in rural villages, as the photos on the left show. The other is urban middle-class families leaving home to take vacations in popular tourist places. The photos on the right, that's the Great Wall. 春运 is really phenomenal, and the human flow is the world's largest. Since China's economic reform in the 1980s, more than 150 million rural peasants migrating out of their villages and towns to find work in coastal cities or major capital cities across the country. These migrant workers would work 6 to 7 days a week and overtime in order to save vacation days and earn more money to return home during the Chinese New Year. In each Chunyun season, more than 400 million people, both migrants and urban travelers, would empty the cities and return their homes in the countryside or travel to different places. For example, last January in Wuhan, the city where first coronavirus cases were discovered, more than 5 million migrant workers and students had already left the city before the news about COVID-19 was made public and before the city was sealed. This year, the government discourages migrant workers to return home. Like many major holidays, the Chinese New Year is best spent with friends and families. The family reunion dinner on the New Year's Eve, that is today in America, but yesterday in China. I got some photos already from my friends in China. The family reunion dinner on the New Year's Eve is very important. That's why everybody would rush home in time for the reunion dinner. So family reunion means the reunion of the multi-generational extended family with parents and grandparents, uncles and aunts, siblings, cousins, and their children. When I was little, I remember going to the rural village to my eldest uncle's home to have the family reunion dinner. Kids from the city love that occasion. The largest Chinese New Year Eve family reunion dinner I remember having was the one held at a restaurant about 10 years ago in China. That's the modern time, instead of going to your ancestral home. We had 8 tables with nearly 100 people, all related to the Zhou family, because my dad's birthday fell on the Lunar New Year. But living overseas, I don't get to reunite with my extended family during the Chinese New Year that often. Families get together for dinner to receive ancestors' blessings for the coming year. The family dinner is a feast with many delicious dishes. Oops, I go too fast. A lot of delicious dishes. Even during tough times in the old days, there must be fish, meat, dumplings, and tangyuan on the table. For poor families in the old days, this was the only time when children could eat meat and could eat as much as they wanted to. The symbolisms behind these dishes refer to good wishes for the coming year. For example, fish signifies abundance and surplus all year round. Dumplings signify gold and wealth. And sticky rice balls means perfect family life as well as family unity and harmony. The photos to the right is the photo I received this morning from a friend from Yangzhou. So that's their New Year's Eve family dinner with a lot of Yangzhou style dishes. In bedtime on the Chinese New Year Eve, parents would put red packets with money under the pillow of sleeping children. Legend has it that a monster named Shui would come down from the mountains to touch children's heads, which would make children dumb and stupid. This monster can only be scared away by copper coins wrapped in red paper. So red packets or 压岁钱 are said to scare away bad ghosts and monsters. Red packets are given by married adults to young children. Later, it became a custom of gift giving. So children are very happy receiving gifts, and then married adults, young adults, they have to give money away, right? So celebration starts on the 1st of the Lunar New Year and ends on the 15th when the moon is full. At midnight, firecrackers would go off to welcome the new year and ward off evil spirits. From the New Year's Day onward until the full moon, there are family visits. By close kin and friends, exchange gifts called 拜年. There are lion dances and parades. Just now, ACA gave a very good demonstration of lion dances. Give good wishes to families and business. Here in the US, we are very familiar with lion dances in Chinatown. Children are receiving red packets by saying 恭喜发财 in Mandarin, 恭喜发财 in Cantonese, wishing you prosperous. So there is a saying that 恭喜發財，利是逗來. I wish you prosperity and you give me lucky money. So I think my time is up, and the New Year celebration ends with the Lantern Festival on the 15th day when the moon is full. Red lanterns can be in different shapes for decorations and in public buildings, streets, and shops. Again, the red color is to frighten away monsters and devils. They signify also prosperity for business and a thriving family life. Okay, here's what I have to say. I wish everybody a happy year of the ox. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Zhou. And then Suong, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'd like to invite you if you wanted to share some thoughts about Lunar New Year's and your perspectives on it too.
Thank you. I also have some slides to share, if that's possible.
Yes, definitely.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you for having me here. It's my honor to be here sharing with you my experience. Actually, I have just called my family in Vietnam this morning, and it was midnight, Lunar New Year's Eve in Vietnam. And my mother has just finished making offerings to the altars with a variety of fruits, goodies, and flowers. This is the third year I've spent Lunar New Year away from my family, and Vietnamese people call it Tết. And when I still celebrated that with my family, I rarely questioned the traditions and their meanings at all. I simply just immersed myself in the festive atmosphere and the family feasts and the noise of relative gatherings. But now being by myself 1,000 miles away from where I should be for this occasion of family reunion, that appears as kind of, for me, a dear memory that I try to hang on to for a sense of homeness, especially during these isolated times of the pandemic. I really appreciated Professor Min Zhou's presentation because I could relate myself to most of the traditions and activities in her presentation. For my part, I would like to just start from what matters most for me personally. And I'm going to show you some photos, and all of them are real ones of my family in Vietnam. Some of them I took a few years ago when I was there, and some I just asked my brother to send me just last night. So this is, first I'd like to talk about New Year's Eve rituals in my family. It's the best part of that celebration for me. My family doesn't have the custom of counting down, but when the time comes, usually about 5 or 10 minutes to midnight, my mother and father would urge the children, my brother and me, to get ready for the ritual. And we would put on decent clothes, we turn on the lights on the altar and present the offerings on the altars. We have many altars in the house, actually. We have an altar for the Buddha and the Bodhisattva, another one for the ancestor, as you see here, the ancestor altar. We also have one for the god of earth and god of wealth. And we put, and they are the inside altars. They are decorated with colorful flowers, boxes of candies and cookies, a tray of 5 fruits, and especially a pair of watermelon embellished with red papers, you see. We also set up a table of offerings in the outside yard to pay respect to the earth, the sky, and other gods. The outside table is prepared with fruits, flowers, candies, candles, and especially a dish of rice and salt. I once asked my mom why we need to have rice and salt on the outside altar, and especially why after the ritual, she would scatter the rice and salt to 4 directions on the ground. And she told me that it was for the wandering spirits who don't have a family to return to on New Year's Eve. And also, it also to prevent the evils from our house. I've also found out later that this custom also means to simulate the act of scattering rice seeds on the field as a way of showing gratitude for nature and human labor in wet rice agriculture. So at midnight, each member of our family burn incense and pay respect to the Buddha, the ancestors, and the gods. That's my dad. There is always a sacred feeling in that moment when I feel connected to something beyond me. My mother said it's because we are having the ancestors visit us and stay with us for a New Year celebration. I must remember what I remember most about this very moment of transition is the very special scent, which is kind of a unique blend of the fragrant incense and the spring night wind. So for New Year's meal, throughout the first 3 days of New Year, we offer the food to the ancestors before almost every meal because we believe that they are home with us and we want them to enjoy the feast with us. It's really the time for the family, and by family, it's not just the nuclear or extended family, but also the deceased ones. In my experience, the best meal of that is always the family reunion meal on New Year's Eve. But in Vietnam, we have it as lunch, not dinner. Dinner on New Year's Eve is usually just the leftover from lunch. But we try to keep dinner very simple because we eat more at midnight after the ritual. So the lunch on New Year's Eve is also a ritual to recall our ancestors or deceased family members to come back home and join our death celebration. So the food is abundant. The first picture on the left is the braised pork and eggs. We call it thịt kho trứng. It's the braised pork and eggs flavored by coconut water and caramel sauce, usually eaten with white rice. And we have the silky sausages or Vietnamese pork meat loaf, or we call it chả lụa. And then the pickled vegetables. Usually we have bean sprouts and chives, sometimes shallots and small leeks. And then especially we have sticky rice cake. In the north, we call it bánh chưng. In the south, we call it bánh tét. It's a kind of cake made from sticky rice, the inside filled with pork, shallots, and mung beans, and it's wrapped in banana leaves and boiled until tender. I especially miss my mom's canh khổ qua, which is the stuffed bitter melon soup. My family all enjoy the bitterness of the melon. For us, the more bitter, the better, because we believe it is through the experience and understanding of bitterness that we learn how to appreciate happiness, which sometimes is just as simple as having an end year meal with the family. The Vietnamese name of bitter melon, khổ qua, literally means sufferings go away. So eating this in the new year represents a wish for a year of peace and non-suffering. So a few customs of my family. Vietnamese people have the first guest tradition, which means that the first guest who visits the house after New Year's Eve represents the omen for the coming new year. So if it's a bad person, then you may have bad luck. So nobody wants a bad person coming as a first guest to your house. My family tend to stay home the first morning of New Year. And we would exchange the lucky money in red envelopes with death greetings and wishes. And during the subsequent days, we visit our relatives or have them over for holiday parties. After that, we play cards or bầu cua tôm cá, or we call it a squash crab fish game, a game in which you bet on which dice images will match the pictures on the board. Especially, we don't sweep the floor, at least for the first day of the new year, because it means sweeping out all of the luck of your out of your house. So no sweeping. Especially one tradition that I really appreciate, which I don't think is practiced by all Vietnamese families though, is what we call Tết cây, meaning to celebrate death for the house and the trees. So this occurs on the third day of Lunar New Year. And we usually use a little bit sticky rice taken from the sticky rice cake, and we stick the red papers on the trees in our garden. And we believe by doing that, we have the trees celebrate that with us, and it's also a way for us to wish the trees a year of vigor and productivity. And lastly, I want to share with you this photo my brother just took yesterday for me. It's the real tree in my family's garden. We call it hoa mai, or in English, I think we call it apricot blossom. It blossoms profusely only once a year in the new year, marking the arrival of spring. It is a symbol of luck and prosperity. Usually about 2 weeks before New Year, we have to pick all the leaves from the tree so it has enough nutrition for the blossoms. If the tree blossoms right in time for New Year, we believe that we will have good luck. The flower typically has 5 petals, and each of them stand for one of the 5 blessings: longevity, wealth, peace, health, and virtues. And the color yellow represents happiness, prosperity, and good luck. So I hope this beautiful image of Hoa Mai also gives you, all of you here, good luck, health, and happiness in this Lunar New Year. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much, Professor Zhou and Song. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Mike, there were a few.
Right.
Do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Awesome. So we had one question. What are some alternatives to put in the red envelopes instead of just money, or is money the only option?
Actually, people expect money. So money is the only option. Just now, Caroline asked me about this. But for your children, you are supposed to put coin to it because it's the copper coin that's wrapped in bread paper that is supposed to scare away evil spirit. And then now the gift giving, it becomes a gift giving custom. So people can give a lot of money, and even like bribery, you can use the occasion and use a big envelope. I have a big one here.
Wow.
To give money to family and friends, as well as officials. And then for lion dances, that's the time when you get get your lucky money too. And then the lion dancers would go to businesses wishing them Happy New Year, and the businesses would have to give bread packets in return. If they don't, then you don't get the blessing.
I see a bunch of comments about $2 bills, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knows there is a stack of $2 bills here. It is tradition, but Professor Zhou or Song, do either of you know if there's a specific reason why we have an obsession with brand new $2 bills?
Well, 2 is double, you have to give money in even numbers.
Oh.
Yeah, and you don't give money in odd numbers. So you don't give a $5 bill. You give $10, $2, or $20, like that.
Oh.
Yeah, 100 is okay.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
There was another question to ask, and we'll wrap it up there, is if the Lunar New Year season is religious, and if it's related to any particular religion, just for reference.
Well, for the Chinese are not, they are Buddhists, right? Buddhists worship many gods. So in that light, it's religious, but it's not a religious holiday. It's a holiday. It's more of a family holiday. I'm not sure, like Song could add to it. It's a holiday that you have to worship your ancestors and the earth gods and the kitchen gods. So there are a lot of worshipings, but it's not like a religious holiday.
Awesome. So
Song, you want to add to it?
I think the same. I don't think it's a particularly religious holiday because in Vietnam, for example, I know people of different religions also celebrate New Year, but each religion may have a little bit different traditions, or they may have like different ways to celebrate that holiday.
Awesome. One last question and we'll wrap up this panel is, who gives who red envelopes?
Okay, well, married people give out red envelopes. So if you are a child, even if you don't get married, you receive envelopes, right? So envelopes are supposed to be married adult giving to children, but there are big children too. If you are unmarried, you are eligible to receive. But parents normally would give red envelopes to their children, regardless whether their children are married or not. And then the children would also give it back to the parents, to return their kindness and everything. But as a gift giving custom, anybody can give. Like one of the reasons why overseas Chinese don't return to China for the Chinese New Year's day is because there is tremendous financial burden. You are from the beautiful country, the wealthy country. You can't just put in like $2 or $20. They expect more. So for me, when I go to China during the Chinese New Year, because my dad's birthday is on the Chinese New Year, I have to prepare at least $5,000 for gift giving. And well, for me, once a year, that's okay. But for a lot of families, it's really a financial burden. And you have to do that. I don't
That's
have young
true.
children, and my son is not going, so he doesn't receive any. I just give. But some families, they have children, right? The children receive a lot of money.
That is very true, Professor Zhao. I'm holding an envelope here. It says 2001 and it says $3,000. I mean, there's no $3,000 in here anymore, but imagine in 2001, my mom was collecting $3,000 to give away.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right, that was awesome. And now for our next panel, it will be a staff panel. I'd like to introduce my good friend, Wallen No, a fellow past president of UCLA Staff Assembly. Wallen is a program manager at UCLA Extension, and he will be moderating the panel on staff traditions. Wallen?
Great. Thank you, Mike. First, I want to thank our panelists, for taking time out of their busy days to respond to some of our questions for them later right now. And then I also want to thank everyone for joining us over Zoom to learn and educate yourselves more about the Lunar New Year and the customs and traditions. So we hope you really enjoy the conversations we're going to have with our panel today because they're very diverse. They represent different generations. We have people that have immigrated here at a young age, to people who are first and even second generation and commonly referred to as Nisei in Japanese. I actually learned that during my days of playing J-League basketball. For those of you that don't know, it's kind of like the NBA for Asian Americans before Jeremy Lin made it. And so I digressed. Our panel has also represent different ethnicities. We have someone that's Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, and Cantonese on the panel, and they come from very different departments. First, we have Police Chief Tony Lee. He's actually the first Asian American police chief at UCLA PD on our panel, and he leads the largest of the 10 UCPDs with a sworn complement of 65 officers, 41 professional staff, and 100 student workers. And they actually boast one of the fastest response times in the region with a 3-minute or less response time. And it is one of the most diverse police agencies in California with many officers that are actually UCLA grads. So that's a really great figure to share. Jason Lowe joins us from the Social Sciences Computing Department, and he oversees all IT related matters for faculty, staff, and graduate students of the Political Science Department. And this includes software, computer hardware, desktop support network issues, and mobile hardwares. So any of you from the Political Science Department, you know who to reach out to with your IT issues. And Caroline assists faculty and TAs with course design and the use of technology and pedagogy. She is also a member of CCLE Home and assists campus with all things related to CCLE, such as the LMS, Zoom, Respondus, Cultura, etc. So basically, all our professors that are online right now, you know, Caroline is probably your best friend. So thank you again for all you do teaching-wise. And Mitz oversees the day-to-day IT team and that supports all staff, faculty, and students of the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs. So we want to thank our panel for joining us. So I'm going to jump straight into the questions. All right. So the first question we have is, can you tell us about your family traditions for Lunar New Year? And if you don't have any, can you tell us how traditional people from your country of origin would normally celebrate this holiday? So I'll start off with asking Jason this question. And is Jason on mute? Oh, Jason, you might.
He can't get in. Oh, sorry about that. So I just wanted to sorry about that. In the middle of a call. So so where were we? So most of the tradition I remember was from my younger days when I was in Taiwan, and usually there's a big family dinner with grandparents, my uncles, and aunts. I have a very big family on my father's side. My father has 11 siblings, so I have like over 40 cousins. And so when I was younger, whenever I have Chinese New Year reunion, I always have, upwards of 40, 50 people in the house. And so it's a fun time. And of course, as a younger kid, myself, the biggest tradition I always look forward to is the real envelopes on New Year's Eve with cash inside. So. And we usually play a lot of games such as dices, some mahjong games, cards, Chinese chess, and things like that with our grandparents. Yeah,
nice.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jason. And I can relate to that. I have 41st cousins as well, so I have a really large family, both my mom and dad's side. So thank you for that answer. So Mitz, can you share with us what you would normally do around Lunar New Year?
Sure. So I am Japanese. But traditionally, Japanese don't really celebrate Lunar New Year. So we do recognize the zodiac animals and enjoy the day with pastries and mochi and different Japanese wagashi treats in the shape of the zodiac animal. The Japanese usually celebrate the normal calendar New Year, known as Oshogatsu. We celebrate the New Year Eve and the day, and it's like other people have said, it's a chance for families to not only reflect on the past year, but also their dreams for the future, and also spend time together. A lot of the time, New Year's Eve, we play games, we eat food, we eat soba, or a Japanese noodle for long life, known as toshikoshi soba, which reflects the good year for good luck and what have you. We also usually watch on like NHK something called Kohaku Utagakusen, which is a Japanese singing show, and a lot of people across Japan watch that. New Year's Day itself is celebrated, of course, with food, close family, and friends. In Japan, in certain parts, they do celebrate the Lunar New Year, mostly in like the Chinatown areas, with like the lunar lantern festivals and food and stuff of that nature. But yeah, traditionally for me, it's celebrating just the normal end of year, 31st, first of the year kind of traditions for New Year.
Great, thank you. And then I think I'm gonna ask Caroline the same question. What traditions did you have or that you carry on?
Right. So just echoing everybody, it's a big family dinner, except my family likes to avoid the crowd. So we'll have that big personal intimate dinner a few days before the start of New Year so that we're just avoiding all of the crowd at all the restaurants. And then a few days into the 15-day celebration, my mom invites everybody from our side of the family, huge family, to come together. And then rather than having like a set meal, we have all the hodgepodge and stuff that you're supposed to be eating throughout New Year's. For example, like there's a day that we observe Buddha, so we only eat vegetarian things. So you're going to see Buddha Delight on the table. There's also the steamed fish that you're not supposed to finish, but you try to avoid picking at the last pieces so that you can have that abundance of New Year's moving to the next day, as well as poached chicken, roast duck. And over the time, it's sort of melted into incorporating more of the kids' meal. So you'll see like spam musubi, pizza, fried chicken at the table. And we always concluded with the adults watching TV where the kids like sneak off to the other room to play mahjong. Surprisingly, it's the kids playing mahjong. And I just remember for all those family gatherings and especially the food.
Nice. Remind me why you don't finish the fish again? You said something about not finishing the fish.
Yeah, so when you say fish in Chinese, it usually means abundance. So you don't want to eat away all of your abundance. You want it left over for the next day. It's really, really hard because as kids, we try to like pick at like all the little pieces as you can, like eat the eyeballs and things like that too.
Nice. How do you say the word fish then? That sounds like abundance. I'm just curious.
In Cantonese, it's you, but I know it's said a little bit differently in Mandarin. I don't know if Jason wants to explain in Mandarin.
No, that's correct. Yeah, you had it right. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I have to ask my wife about how to say you and abundance. I was just curious how that word, and I don't think I've ever heard the word abundance. So I'm not the best Cantonese person, but I know conversational Cantonese. So our next question is, so I picked up some traditions since I've gotten married. I guess I return home, I believe, on the second day to my wife's family to eat dinner. So I'm just curious, have any of you picked up new traditions, adopted new traditions since you got married to your spouse? So first I'll ask this question to Tony.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I was really delighted to reconnect with my with my culture. I think in the last 25 years, it's been really heartwarming to be able to get together with family during New Year, which is going to be January 1st. And we have about 6 family members that get together. Somebody will host, the festivity at their house. And we practice what they call sebe, S-E-B-E. That's going into a deep bowing to your seniors. So, it starts from generation to generation. So we'll bow to, our parents that are in their 80s right now, and then our kids will bow to us. But the only ones that actually get the envelope with money would be the kids, not the rest of us. So, they hit the lottery at the end of the day. And it's a good time. It's a good time that we all, get together and talk about our, goals and ambitions for the year, and talk story. So that's, we usually get together about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it'll usually conclude about 4 o'clock. But that's what we do. I know that there's some Koreans that are watching out there, and they're probably saying there's a lot more to it, but that's what we do. So.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Tony. And Caroline, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I'll answer the first part of your question. My husband is Cambodian American, so when we got married, I tried to learn a little bit more Cambodian New Year's things. That's going to be coming up in April, so I'm hoping to practice Khmer New Year's traditionally and formally with him too. But in terms of for Lunar New Year's, when we started our family, I wanted to carry on some of the traditions that I had growing up with. So we do things like make dumplings, usually the night before New Year's, so that we can have it for New Year's Day. Dumplings usually means money. They look like little money bags. We also distribute the red envelopes to children and young adults who aren't married yet. And I also try to clean the house leading up to New Year's Day. But you definitely want to avoid sweeping the floors or cutting your hair on the first day of New Year's. Sweeping floors just generally means you're sweeping away your luck. And then when you're cutting your hair, you're also cutting away that luck that you just earned.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense now. I don't know if any of you have visited like Chinatown during the New Year's in the past when I was a kid. I remember it being littered with firecracker and shreddings because they can't sweep it away because it's about sweeping away. So it makes a lot of sense now why that was all left behind until it was better to do so. So, all right, let's get into some questions that I think the audience is really interested in hearing. So let's see, are there any favorite foods or special dishes that you guys look forward to eating when Lunar New Year comes around? And is there a dish that you're dying to and wish it wasn't just served during the special holidays such as Lunar New Year? So I'm gonna ask Jason this question to start.
Okay, so I think first of all, the good one that many traditions will go to is the dumplings. And my family does a little differently when I was younger, that we would play a little game almost like we have a big pot of dumplings, let's say 200, 300 worth of them, and we'll hide a couple coins and carefully clean, of course, in a few of them. And then we'll see who in the family is the lucky one that will get the dumpling that has the coin. And we'll, of course, warn the children, chew before you swallow. And it's just a little good luck to see who's the one that will find it. And we also have make special sticky rice cakes. Usually it's used for when it's honoring the ancestors. We'll put the incense on top of it. It's almost like the stand to the incense. And it's like a little dessert. And the last thing that we also have is it's like a traditional Hakka dish. It's called sunban. It's kind of like a size of a burrito almost. It's like a big thing, and it's wrapped in flowers. And then you can have all sorts of different kind of different food in there. And we usually make them salty, but I've been told that it can be made into a dessert well. Thanks.
Sounds delicious. Mitz, how about yourself? What do you guys do for favorite food?
For food, usually, it's a ton of sushi. It's something, a ton of noodles like soba noodles or the buckwheat noodles. And then we have usually for New Year's Day something called osechi or osechi ryori, which is a compartmentalized boxes with different foods, each representing something of good luck and fortune. But my most memorable, or the dish that I used to always look for, is a dish that my mom would make, and every family makes it a little bit different, and it's called ozoni. It is a soup. Its main ingredient is mochi or rice cake, but it's usually mixed in with like the local chicken or vegetable vegetable soup, seafood. It really differs from family to family and from region to region, but it just symbolizes, long life, start of a new year kind of thing. And while everybody makes it, my always favorite thing is what my mom used to make. So that was the thing that I looked for because it was only really made once a year. I mean, I could probably ask for it on off times, but it was a special dish to be eaten at the new year, and I always looked forward to that. So.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, comfort food is always so nice. Thanks, Mitz. Tony, how about yourself? You and your family, what do you guys usually like to eat around New Year's?
Also for us, for those kimchi lovers out there, we do have kimchi New Year's Day. And so kimchi is a tradition. And we also have that with dakguk. Dakguk is like rice cakes in a very hot, warm broth. It's delicious. I like to spread a little bit of that kimchi inside that hot broth to just kind of spice it up a little bit in case you guys ever ordered dakguk soup at a Korean restaurant. Dab some kimchi in there, and it'll make it taste really good. We also have dumplings too, like many of the other traditions. They're soft dumplings, and we also have something called japchae. Japchae, if you guys have heard of that, they're like glass noodles with little pieces of beef and vegetables. It's quite delicious. And you guys have heard of Korean barbecue? Kalbi. So kalbi is made, and it's quite delicious. And by the time I'm done with an early brunch, somebody needs to carry me out of the house because there's just so much food. But it's a great time together, a great time to break bread. So I'm looking forward to it again in January, once we can all get together, right?
Yes, can I come over to your house for dinner, Tony? Sounds delicious.
I was thinking about Mitch when Mitch mentioned he has sushi for New Year's. I'm coming over to his house.
Yes. So didn't want to leave Caroline out. What do you guys do food-wise?
Oh my goodness, I'm just so hungry thinking about food right now. And apologies to everybody, but the thing that I loved, well, I didn't really like it growing up, was the Buddha delight. And I saw Brian said "dai," which is exactly how you say it in Cantonese. It's just a hodgepodge of I think 7 different funguses in a dish, and it's covered in a nice warm gravy. There's texture, there's delight to it. I mean, as a kid, you're looking at it, you're pulling out one of the fungus which looks like witch's hair, so it's weird. But when you think about it, it's the ultimate comfort food because you got all that warmness in there, that flavor, that texture. The other thing that I really love is my mom's rice cake, her ningo. It's one of those things where it looks really easy to make, but she kneads it for over 2 hours, just making sure that every single grain has touched the sweet liquid. And when you bake it or steam it, it becomes this thicker mochi that's a nice texture to it too. If you rush the process, it comes out super grainy. It's not that delicious. I tried to make it one time, not so successful. I think if I had a KitchenAid and I let that thing go an hour and a half, I'll probably achieve what my mom did with her mooncakes, or not, sorry, her ningo, her rice cakes. But that's definitely what I'm looking forward to eating.
Very nice. Oh man, talk about food being made with love. That's amazing. So yes, I'm getting really hungry now, so we'll try to turn the corner here on the food talks since it's around lunchtime. But I wanted to ask some of you, ask all of you actually, if you can share with us some standard greetings for Lunar New Year in your native tongue and that you're familiar with, and what do they actually mean? So I'm gonna throw this to Caroline first to kick us off.
Right, because I did. I did say "Gong Hei Fat Choi" in the very beginning. Being Cantonese, that's the first greeting you're supposed to say, followed by which you could say "San Yin Bai Lao." The reason why you say "Gong Hei Fat Choi" in the beginning is because you always want to wish someone to be prosperous. It literally means, I hope you make lots of richness, and you want that person to also reciprocate it back to you. That's why you start off saying that. Then you say "San Yin Bai Lao," which is Happy New Year's. And I also opened up with "Gong Hei Fat Choi Dai Ga," because Dai Ga means big family, and I feel UCLA, we're just a big family.
Very true. Jason, I'm going to throw on, I don't read Chinese well, I actually don't read Chinese at all, but I'm going to throw on some of the things you shared with me, and if you could phonetically share it, I'm going to put it in the chat, so if people want to see how the Chinese is written for these things, and Jason's going to tell us about it.
Yeah, of course. The first one is the most common one. 新年快乐 basically means Happy New Year. And second one is the Mandarin version of what Caroline just said, 恭喜发财, is just wish you have a prosperous new year. And then there's different ones of 身体健康, like hope you have a healthy new year. 笑口常开, like wish you have a happiness with you for the new year. And the last one I have was 心想事成, 万事如意, meaning like good luck and then great success and then like make for the new year. Yeah. Thanks.
Very nice. Seems like we have a lot of similar sayings. And Mitz, what do you say in Japanese?
Oh no, we might have lost Mitz.
Okay, I'm gonna jump straight to Tony. Oh, Mitz is trying to, oh there, wait, Mitz is coming back?
I am back, sorry about that. What do we say for New Year's? So before January 1st, we say Yoi Otoshio, which usually means a good year to you. Kind of like, I hope your new year starts off good for you. After January 1st, up to about 3 days, we say Akemashite omedeto, which means the new year has opened. Thank you very much. And then after that, you can reply back with Kotoshi mo yoroshiku onegai shimasu, which basically means thank you for this new year and prosperous and, you know, lots of thanks and good luck and good fortune. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And then Tony, last but not least, what do you guys say in Korean?
Okay, I apologize to the Koreans out there for my pronunciation, but I'm going to do my best. We say sebe mani paduseo. That essentially means good health to all of you and the best of luck.
Oh, that's nice. It seems like we all have the same wishes,
yes.
Regardless of which culture we're from. It's always about prosperity. We wish the greatness upon one another and having a good year and luck for one another. So thank you guys for sharing those sayings from your cultures. Let's see how much time. Okay, so I'll probably just ask one last question before we jump to Q&A. Does anyone, actually, I think they've asked this question earlier, but then maybe those traditions, you guys can expand on it, about the reason and the purpose of passing out red envelopes, if any of you want to educate us on that. And then does anyone actually have any red envelope to pass out to audience? Maybe people can throw in their Venmo accounts into the chat and whatnot, but I'm gonna ask Jason right now to kind of tell us what he recalls as the meaning of passing out red envelopes.
From what I was told by my grandparents and some of the elders in the family was red envelope is basically it's like the good luck from the adults to children. I think one of the reasons why it's always the married family members that gives out to the younger ones, and it's also the envelope itself is in color red, which is good luck in many Asian cultures. And I just remember that the amount of red envelope, it also differs from how old and how young you are. I think if you give out to a little baby, it's just a symbolism. It's something very small. But if you were to give it to somebody who's a teenager, you better come with a little bit of cash. So yeah. that's usually something that most of the teenagers or the younger kids look forward to, because it's something that you can buy toys and candies with, like, for the days to come. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. And Caroline, would you like to expand on this a little further too in Cantonese culture?
Yeah, so listening to Professor Joe talk about the legend of it, that makes a lot more sense as to like why you give it to children. But then I always understood it as like when you say "恭喜发财" to anybody in New Year's, you're really hoping that they're going to say it back to you and reciprocate that. So you're hoping that you're wishing for someone to be prosperous, and usually by making money or getting some kind of money. Children can't really make money, so kind of passing out the red envelopes is also wishing for them to be prosperous as well. So they'll also say 恭喜发财 back to you. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, that's very nice. Well, I think we're running up against time. I wanted to open it up to, I want to thank the panel again for your answers and being candid and share your traditions with us. It's awesome to hear. I think it brings back a lot of memories for us that were growing up in this, practicing this as kids as well. So I wanted to open it up and allow people to ask any questions for the panelists. I don't know if any's come in through the chat. Lucy and Antoinette, have you guys seen anything in the chat?
Sure. I asked the question, and I kind of jokingly but serious. What age is it no longer okay for the parents to keep their kids' red envelopes? Anyone have thoughts on that?
At that, Caroline, I know Tony mentioned giving white envelopes. Is there a time you're gonna stop giving it to your kid?
You know what, Antoinette, that's a good question. I wish it was 2 years of age. But, I think it goes all the way up to maybe 21. I don't think that there's a set standard on the age. I think it's just out of the, the goodness of our heart that they are our children. And when they don't, participate anymore in coming to these family gatherings, then they probably don't get the envelopes. As far as a Korean tradition, I'm not aware of it being very strict or relegated to the red envelopes. We just look for whatever envelopes we could find to stuff cash with. So if there's any Koreans out there on the chat, correct me if I'm wrong.
My parents also gives. So
here's a question for those on the west side. Are there any Chinese restaurants on the west side that anyone would recommend? Caroline, I know you're in South Bay. I don't really know where anyone else is.
We drive to Monterey Park, San Gabriel Valley, so I don't know if that's west side enough for everyone else.
No, it's definitely not west side, but yes, San Gabriel Valley in Southern California is probably your best bet.
I'm from San Gabriel Valley, and Tony was as well too. We grew up here as kids, and then I think it's hard to argue against the San Gabriel Valley having the best Asian food. You can find it all here. So I would recommend just venture east, especially right now with the pandemic. Traffic is really light. You can get out here and pick up something, go home and eat it. So.
Hey, Wally, I will tell you, I love Newport seafood in San Gabriel, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm seeing a lot of
recommendations. They have the best lobsters.
Nice. Yeah. I'm trying Boston lobster for the first time today. A lot of people have gone to Boston lobster. I haven't been there yet, but I've
no, it's delicious there. But I'm also seeing a lot of recommendations come into the chat. Thank you, everyone who's contributing in Chengdu. There's Moon House LA. Happily is still open. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So there was a question earlier that was asking about firecrackers. Obviously, that's not something we would normally do in our own homes, but what does are there any traditions related to firecrackers? I mentioned that it was spoken about during the lion dancing, but anyone else to lighting things up? Probably shouldn't tell the chief of police that.
Well, when I was younger, that's like the only day the kids gets to play with dangerous things. And yeah, look at Caroline's eyes. And first and foremost, heard of a lot of bad stories when things gone awry. But of course, it doesn't hurt to have a little fun. It's like the only time that my cousin and I get to shoot things. Like we usually have those. I don't know what they're called in American or English. That it's almost like a small, about 2 inch wide firecracker, and then with the little bamboos on the side, and those can shoot up pretty high. So I would say like a few 100 feet high. So, and then of course, as a young boy, we started shooting them horizontally instead of vertically, and we got an earful. It was, we got an
What's
earful.
the statute of limitations on that, Chief Lee?
Well, I immigrated to the States when I was 14, so that pretty much stopped right after that. So because but up until the point that I left, I was still doing it. So I would say, high school, maybe.
Yeah, echoing what Jason said, it's typically more for the children than it is so much for like a significance. But what I was always told was that you would have it near doors in openings, partly because it's dangerous indoors, but partly because you're trying to scare out all the spirits. And then that's when you have all the things welcome. So the lions come in after the spirits have been scared away. The lions come and kind of get rid of the remaining left of the spirits that are there that are like sort of scaring your area or haunting your area. but definitely more for the kids nowadays.
Yeah, we're so superstitious. It's so funny how Asians, especially Chinese, are very superstitious. So all these traditions always go back to superstition. So someone said M80s. I don't know if we like M80s, but they're smaller than M80s. M80.
Let's end there.
Yes, so boba is part of our lifeblood. Come try some good boba places. There's been a lot that's opened up. New ones I would recommend is called Sunright. It's popping up everywhere. There's yeah, come check out come visit me in SU. I'm gonna say. But yeah, I want to thank our panel again and get to our next portion. So thank you again for providing your answers, and we hope you guys enjoyed that candid conversation with our staff panel. And all right, we'll throw it back to Mike. And thank you, Tony. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Mitz and Caroline. You're still on. I'll leave you and Caroline to it.
Well, seems like everyone's hungry now in the chat, and I'm hungry too. I went over to get a peanut butter chocolate bar just to tie me over. So our next presenter is, yeah, it's appropriate now. It's lunchtime, and I may have to ask our chef how to cook those big dumpling burritos. Maybe we could combine a super burrito later. So Caroline, would you like to introduce our next speaker?
Yes. So, apologies. I am trying to tab over to my introduction for Chef Julia. I'm sure many of you watched the videos that we shared in our Eventbrite. If not, please check out the video that Chef Julia shared about making dumplings, and she'll be taking our questions. But first, I'd like to introduce Chef Julia. Chef Julia Rotan is the culinary arts coordinator and the chef instructor of the UCLA Teaching Kitchen. She has her bachelor's degree in elementary school education and a culinary degree from the Cordon Bleu School of Culinary Arts. After more than 15 years of learning and working in kitchens in Los Angeles, she's excited to be teaching others about cooking and nutrition here at UCLA. So without further ado, I am going to hand that off to Chef Julia.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm actually here in the teaching kitchen, so you can kind of get a little bit of a glimpse. I'm looking forward, obviously, to the day that we can all come back and share space together and cook things together, but it was really a joy to make this video and to be a part of this program. I would first also just like to say thank you for inviting me, being here through the entire session so far. I've learned so much and enjoyed all of the stories and all of the family memories, and I'm starving. So thank you all for doing that. Just all of the things in the chat and all of the restaurant recommendations, I have been taking notes vigorously. So thank you for sharing all of this with the community and with me, and for having me be a part of this. This was really fun. The recipe that I presented in the video was definitely sort of our take on a dumpling filling. It's you can do it steamed or pan fried, but we here at the Teaching Kitchen are just trying to teach people how to cook when it comes down to it in its simplest form. We've got a lot of people in the community that look at a bag of rice and literally have no idea what to do with it. So I'm sure there are far more in-depth and far more complicated and maybe probably more delicious and traditional recipes that you can make for dumplings. And I would love to try all of your different recipes, but this was one that we have developed to teach to the community here in order to kind of introduce them to maybe their first time at making something like a pot sticker, and also trying to make sure that it is as healthy as possible, as we are sort of part of that growing community on campus of healthy lifestyles and good, whole, solid food choices. And so we put that recipe together, hoping that it could kind of tick all of the different boxes. And it was a pleasure to be able to kind of demonstrate it and make it for this program. But I'm convinced that nearly everybody in the room here could probably school me on dumpling making, especially some of the different shapes and the purse bag. I have not perfected that as much as I'm sure other people have after years of making them. So I'm just excited to be kind of here and part of this community gathering. So if there are any specific questions if people have watched it, or if we're going to present part of it, or if anybody just wanted to ask about any other cooking questions. I saw the burrito talk. We could definitely make that happen. There are sushi burritos already, and I think that the dumpling burrito is a little bit even more conducive to the burrito lifestyle. So yeah, I'm on board for this engineering session. But
so Julia, I mentioned UCLA teaching kitchen a couple of times, and I realized it's very new, and I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about the teaching kitchen, what you do, and then I know you've posted a couple of videos too, so if you don't mind talking about that.
Sure, thank you so much. It is true, we are barely over a year old. We opened in October of 2019, and so and that's when I was hired. The majority of my career here at UCLA has been virtual, which is interesting, but we're pretty pleased that we've been able to keep the program going and keep reaching participants. So we are on campus and off in order to serve the community by educating in nutrition, cooking techniques, and trying to deal with any kind of basic needs or food insecurity issues that any community members might be dealing with. And so whether that's actual food education or helping them develop plans or cooking techniques, we are here for that. When we are on campus, we also serve as just a facility for sometimes food that's being donated needs to be washed. We help facilitate some things like that. We work with the garden whenever possible to be like a middleman in terms of food education. And we serve academic programs, health professional students, and recreation programs open to the whole community. And so I teach a lot of classes with registered dietitians, and I'm lucky I get to learn all of the really kind of fun, helpful information. And then I teach a lot of classes just through the recreation program, which are open to anybody. It's free for students, especially now during our virtual setting. And those classes are just sort of for fun. We do baking, we do plant-based cooking, and some microwave classes. You know, we're just trying to, again, hit all of the points that anyone in the community might need resources in terms of learning how to become more confident and more capable in terms of taking care of themselves food-wise. So that's just sort of a general overall of the program. We do have winter programs still going on right now, and all of this stuff is available on our website. I see in the box, I can address that quickly. Our microwave classes, they're close to my heart. I do them live on Instagram every other Friday, so nobody has to pay anything. You just scroll through your Instagram, and there I am making a healthy and easy dish that anybody can make using like a basic knife, cutting board, and a microwave, because I know that we've got a lot of people in the UCLA community and everywhere who necessarily don't have the resources to have a full oven or a stovetop, or some people are literally accessing the microwave in the Ackerman Union. So any way that we can make sure that they're still getting really delicious food. So we're trying to make sure everybody, no matter their access, no matter their earlier knowledge, no matter their dietary lifestyle, we're just trying to make sure there's some kind of programming for them.
And then I saw a couple of comments, which I'm going to turn into a question. So when we all get back to campus, are there any plans, or is there an ability for people to just go in and test the food after you've done the cooking class? Because I'm sure there's probably a lot of food left over. I myself am going to be included on that wait list if it's there.
Oh man, that is definitely something that we had kind of started working on before everything got shut down, and we were doing in-person programming, and so there was food left over. If you are a participant in the in-person classes, then you get to take your food with you. So that's definitely the perk of being an in-person participant. You make your own lunch or snack or dessert, and then you get it packed up to go in a nice little sustainable container. And now during virtual, that's clearly the case, because you're making your own food at home, and then you get to eat it yourself and make it the way that you like it. And we do a lot of different programs so that you can meal prep, so that you can cook for your family. We have kid-friendly programs in the summer for camps if you are getting sick of your kids running around all day long driving you crazy. There's a lot of different programs. The in-person plans, obviously we all know everything changes every single day. We are planning for some sort of concept of in-person in the fall because, fingers crossed, but in the long run, we just want to make sure everybody is safe. And so we are absolutely going to be continuing the virtual programming no matter what, so that anybody who isn't able to come back to campus can still participate.
And not to send people to your kitchen all of a sudden, but you mentioned you're currently on campus right now. Where is the teaching kitchen?
That is a very good question because it is extremely odd. We are in the Los Angeles Tennis Center. So if you've been to the LA Tennis Center, which is the official tennis courts where the team plays, not the practice courts up at Sunset Rec, we are next to, just south of Drake Stadium, near the Acosta training centers for the athletic departments, in the tennis clubhouse. They built a wonderful state-of-the-art kitchen, which I believe the story goes in the 70s and 80s. This space was used as a catering room for the clubhouse and different facility events that happened here. And it wasn't a cooking space. It was just like a reheating and organizing, prepping area. And they kind of revamped it, gutted it, and turned it into what it is today, which is a really top of the line, beautiful teaching kitchen. It's cozy. We fit about 10 people at a time, 10 students. So they're really intimate, really nice cooking sessions. You get to know the people you're cooking with, you get to know the food that you're making, which I think that what I've definitely learned from this experience is this is a family-oriented and like group-oriented holiday. I imagine some of the food, some of the cooking, some of the processes of making these recipes is a big part of all of that. And I think that that's a really important part of cooking, being a part of a community, making food together. It brings people together. It starts conversation. It kind of lays a common ground that I think not a lot of other things do. Food and cooking can kind of get people on the same page. So
totally. If you showed up to my house with food, it doesn't matter what it is, you showed up to my house with food, you're welcome to come in so we can share that food. But we reached out specifically to you to ask about dumpling making. I was wondering if anybody in the audience was curious about learning or making a dish. Is this something that we can reach out to the teaching kitchen to do and to make a video for? Oh, cool.
Absolutely. We love doing like separate group sessions. So we've done different sessions with staff assembly. We've done different sessions with other campus groups. And gosh, we love those. So with spring quarter and summer quarter planning happening right now, any campus groups, any small groups, any large groups, any events, any holidays, anything like this that you'd like to organize some kind of demonstration or video or live workshop, please, that is exactly what we're here for. We're here to serve the entire community. And if there is something that we can all learn from, something that we can all share, especially when it comes to food, cooking, nutrition, that's our mission. So please, yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, Lucy posted a great team and group activity. Totally agree. So this is something departments or groups can reach out to. And I'm assuming when we all show up when we're back on campus in person, the idea for the teaching kitchen is that it's going to be a group led. Everyone comes into that same area and be able to cook and do things together. And I just was wondering, since you're talking about planning, do you want to talk about a little bit of dishes or things that you're planning for in the future too, or for this upcoming year?
Yeah, so we're going to stick with some of our programming that we've got on right now. It's proven pretty popular. We're doing a plant-based life workshop, which is entirely vegan, and that is not only like a movement, but it's just a really important thing for a lot of people, whether you're vegan or not. It's a great place to learn. So we're going to continue that probably through spring and summer. Selfishly, I will always continue a baking class. I started out as a pastry chef and a baker when I first left culinary school eons ago, and it's the love of my life. So I will never stop teaching baking, but we try to incorporate as many like swap recipes, healthy recipes, alternative recipes, just to make sure that we're not eating chocolate cake every week, but life deserves chocolate cake. So I'm going to always teach a baking class, and then because seasonally, I like to try to incorporate different things. I'm also going to be doing a sort of culinary school camp, focusing on basic skills and weeknight meals and just things that we can all learn how to prepare in a general sense. As we move into summer, that will transition to like a summer favorites course, focusing on like picnic-friendly food and barbecue-friendly food and things like that to try to inspire using seasonal ingredients. And that's really key for me, no matter what culture or kind of recipe or wherever we're coming from, to focus as locally and seasonally as possible. So we're just going to try to progress with those. The Instagram classes we will continue the microwave gourmet. I think that's not going away as long as I'll be here. I think that it's a really big benefit to students, especially. And let's see. Oh, this is one of my pet projects I encourage everyone, we're still doing it now, and then we'll keep going through the spring and summer, is a cookbook club. And so you don't have to show up to a Zoom. You don't have to like log on to a thing. You get an email every week with a scanned copy and a typed copy of this week's recipe from some cookbook that I've helped you choose. And so this quarter, everybody who signed up has gotten access to 10 brand new, amazing cookbooks that they don't have to buy. So they get to kind of try a sample recipe. They get to see the visual description of the book that I show them. And I describe the chef and the restaurant or whatever else kind of details that go with it. And so you get this little taste of the cookbook and you try a recipe, and then you don't have to buy the book, which is a really big perk for a lot of new cooks and starting out students. So the Cookbook Club, you can register for all of our workshops, the Cookbook Club, on our website, and you can actually see all of our old workshops and videos that we did over last summer, because those were free and public. So those are all just posted for everybody to see. Sorry, motion sensor lights in the kitchen.
Well, even in the kitchen.
Motion sensor, and I'm 5 feet tall, so it's like, where'd you go? Like, it's still here, I promise.
But I'm definitely going to welcome anyone to ask questions. I feel so guilty because I've been treating this as an intimate question and answer for Caroline and Chef Julia. But man, I'm going to have to hit you up for that baking lessons, because I was talking about my mom's aningo, which is like the New Year's rice cake. And she says you have to knead it for up to 2 hours, just slowly. It's literally just rice flour and sugar water that she's slowly kneading it. I'm gonna have to figure out the science behind that because I'm not very good at making it. But I did see Monica ask, how do you source your ingredients so that you know it's local? And are you going to farmers market or some other place?
Yeah, because of the pandemic and just because I'm only shopping for enough ingredients right now for myself to demonstrate, I'm not purchasing goods for the entire class, which is what normally happens when we're on campus. When we're on campus, you just show up to class and all the ingredients are already here and I've already gotten it all pretty and laid out for you. But in this setting, I'm only buying enough for me to demonstrate and then eat or donate to my family. So yes, I tend to go to a farmer's market just because that's a part of my life anyway. That's something that I really enjoy. I do it twice a month. I try to limit my time there. I know I have a list. I know what I'm getting. I go directly to the farms. They've got it pretty safe with mask wearing and limiting amount of people that they let in at a time. And so I feel pretty comfortable doing that. But when we're on campus, it's not feasible for me to do that. I shop at supermarkets and I talk to the purveyors. Most of the people that work in grocery stores love being asked questions. Like they've worked there for a long time. The people that manage the produce department or the people that work behind the fish counter, they really want to tell you what that is or where it came from. If it doesn't have a sticker on it that says California grown, then you can just ask, is this something that is local, or do you know what farm this came from? And if they don't know, then ask them to find out, because the information is at the store and you have the right to know that. But we are also extremely lucky in Southern California. I do have to point out that we can get almost everything year round from a California farm. We're just incredibly lucky, but it's key to look for certain things, and you can almost always find a sticker on the piece of fruit or vegetable and it'll say like Chile. A lot of produce, sometimes non-seasonal, comes from Chile because they have the complete opposite sort of seasons that we do, and it just works out that way. But then it's spending time on ships and all of these other kind of sustainability issues. And I think I saw Kike was here. There are other people who know a lot more about that stuff, but I think that it's important to kind of think about. I know a lot of our families grew up in times where like they ate apples when it was apple season, and then they went a few months without getting apples. We're just kind of not used to that concept, but understanding the value of the ingredients and like where it comes from and what it does for your body and what it does for your traditions and all of those different things, then I think it's good to care about the details, and asking about where your food comes from is 100% approved. You're allowed to do that.
That's a good tip to ask grocery stores when you don't see that sticker. And I saw that Nancy B had set up in Oregon, excuse me, my goodness, long day and I'm hungry. All the grocery stores have a locally grown section. So that'd be awesome to see in California, but knowing that you can just ask the grocer that question too. And I'm going to ask the last question to wrap up this session. And I saw it pop up a couple of times is, do you have a community garden? I'm assuming this is the UCLA community garden. And then do you know more about that?
Amazing. Well, the UCLA has a community garden up at the HCI Semel community garden space at Sunset Recreation Center. It's up at the whole amphitheater above the new like beach volleyball courts on that big lawn. If you haven't been up there, next time you can come back to campus. I encourage it. It's one of the most beautiful places on campus. And there are, I think, 33. There's a lot of raised beds, and during normal times they're allotted to different campus groups. Sometimes it's like a group of faculty members or a group of student members or a research project or whatever. You sign up and you get a raised bed and you can grow your own garden fresh produce. And so right now those 30 something beds are being manned by a very small army of hardworking garden volunteers and employees who are showing up whenever they can to kind of try to maintain as much growth as possible. And then most of that stuff is being donated to some of the campus apartments where families live. And so that's a really good model right now, but obviously they're going to try to rework all of that. In the long run, we do have a bed reserved for us in the community garden here at UCLA. And so much of our fresh produce, when we're in the full swing of things, actually does come from campus, which is amazing. And we do have videos on our website and some of our past workshops where I've and on our Instagram where I've highlighted things that we've used from the garden. And I encourage you to follow them. It's at HCI Gardens. They are wonderful and it's community-based. They have education programs and all kinds of cool stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chef Julia, for your time and for sharing that awesome dumpling recipe. I have to say, it took me years to figure out how to wrap a dumpling. So it doesn't matter how you wrap it, as long as it looks like a giant money bag. I think it's sufficient enough. Thank you. Yes, definitely.
Just get your twist and you get it. Yep.
Thank you so much again, Chef Julia. And I'm going to bring Mike to help me close out the ceremony.
Great, thank you. Looking forward to creating that burrito. I'm just curious what that would look like.
Yeah, especially since it's like, well, it's maybe more to eat. That's what's great about it.
Yes, exactly. So instead of boiling like 12, we could just have one ginormous one.
I think APIFSA should go copyright or trademark the dumpling burrito right now.
Right.
Definitely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We are at the end of it. I am super hungry, but I do want to say thank you to the APIFSA Lunar New Year Planning Committee. That's Lucy Sang, Antoinette Molina, Grace Francisca Wallen, No, and Mike and myself. We were all working really hard behind the scenes just to make the celebration possible. This is our first time running such a large celebration event virtually. And I also want to thank all our panelists, the ACA Lion Dance team for coming to present, the faculty panel, the graduate panel. I know most people probably had to leave because it's a super long session, but thank you so much and to the audience too, thank you so much for attending and participating with us as we celebrate our Lunar New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And I hope everyone had a chance to learn about the APIFSA traditions and cultures. Our organization is just growing, and then we will be having our first general meeting later this month. And if you're interested in learning more, it's more than just about food. We're looking at advocacy. We're looking at professional development, mentorship. Please join us at our all hands meeting on February 25th. Link is in the slide. And follow-ups, and then you'll probably find more announcements about it on Staff Assembly. So look forward to seeing everyone at our general meeting later this month. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year. 恭喜发财。
发财。